Hello.
So welcome, friends, Revolutionary Tribe. How are you? So today on Momentum Filled Monday, I forgot to tag that. Oops. So share this if you believe that, or say something if you believe the importance of momentum in taking action.
I believe in the importance of those cats.
They're taking action.
Knocking it off. Let me fix the cats.
Sorry, we have two cats that love to play together.
Ebony and
Yes, one is white, one is black.
In perfect
Completely.
harmony.
So the idea of taking action, as Heidi just did.
Jesus.
You gonna be all right? All right. So the importance of taking action. Notice she saved herself. She fixed it right away. Taking action. So taking action. So as an example, taking an action, just the real pragmatic basics. When you go to the gym, you got to take action. Where do you get the most growth? Like the first rep or the 10th?
Well, you do, Doug, but I have to
which?
say, I know, the 11th. But here's the thing. Okay, listen. This morning I went to the gym, and I hate going to the gym.
Yeah.
So how do you go, I hate exercise.
So
how
actually
do I take the action?
Well,
I don't even want to when I don't want to.
So
it's easy to do things you want to do.
What have I been doing?
Bam.
Yeah.
That's right.
Right on. What have I been doing? Racquetball. So had it actually today, played with a new guy today. He kicked my
friend that I usually pump iron with.
No, another guy. After Lewis.
Let me show you this business. What?
Oh yeah.
There's nothing there.
Well, it's the thought.
Dormant.
Yeah. The 10th rep. That's right, Michael. Or the 12th, the 13th. So this guy, older gentleman, but kicked my ass. And he's like, oh yeah, man, I hate going to the gym, but I love racquetball. Great exercise. So one of the keys to build that momentum is to find a way to do things that you enjoy. So what are the ways that we've actually created some joy in the gym?
Oh, they were going to ask how we create joy getting exercise.
Yeah,
a little personal.
A
little personal. How do we create joy at the gym?
Yeah.
Did we create joy at the gym?
Do we take a class, some of the classes together?
We do. We take some classes together.
See? Yeah.
And that does create joy because I feel like I get to flirt with you because you always go directly behind me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun.
So I always feel like that's, and I catch you looking all the time. And I think that's kind of funny.
Yeah. Well, that's a way to improve. Hey, Gina, how are you? To do that. And then I noticed, you don't have them up here, you wear your headphones. Oh, there. Your headphones when you're working out. So that's the key. Sometimes we think that we get up and we've got to do something that maybe is not our preference. Like Ellie will say things, I don't prefer that.
I know, she's 4. I don't prefer that.
Yeah. But what we do is we find a way to enjoy the process, right? Conversion of the tier 1 to tier 2, or tier 2 to tier 1 rather, enjoy it, and even though it's uncomfortable. So the value of that is, well, what happens now that we've been going consistently? At least my game and my racquetball has improved quite a bit. I do it for my mental health. Because if I don't, I'm a raging lunatic. If I don't exercise, well, no.
I still can be a raging. Yes. I'm not really a raging lunatic, though, am I?
No. Hey, you know where lunatic came from?
Where?
Lunar, the moon, full moon. So they thought people went nuts like during that.
They do.
Yeah, but check this out. Thug. Where did thug come from? You ever hear when someone says, "Yeah, hey, you look at those thugs over there"? Do you know where that came from?
Old Lady McGurk is coming around town.
Yeah,
you kids.
Yeah,
that's what I do in the neighborhood.
Yeah, but where did thug come from?
I don't know.
Does anyone know? Chime in if you know. You have a moment. Where did thug come from? No one's chiming in. All right. So
nobody knows.
Check this out. The thuggies in old East India time, they were robbers, and they would kill their prey, and they would strangle them to death. And they did that so that no blood was spilled, so that the god, I forget the name of the god at the moment, but or the goddess of something who loved to drink the blood. So they would strangle them And so they didn't drop any blood, and they were the thuggies. And that's where, when someone calls someone a thug, that came from.
Random facts, folks. Random
Benjamin,
facts. Thug life.
Well,
random
it's
facts.
just interesting.
Remember when Cliff Clavin used to do that on Cheers all the time? Hey,
Yeah.
you know where?
It's fun.
The more you know.
So we were just
I
having
wish I
some
could
fun
have like a
today.
rainbow over my head with the more
Can we do
you
that?
know.
Well,
That'd be
we'll do
really
that
cool
later.
if we could.
The idea that when we're taking action, that it's not direct reciprocity. Kat, when you went out there and took action and all of that, just because you didn't get that job doesn't mean that you're not going to be in an awesome position. If you keep your energy moving forward, what'll happen is you'll be open to, wow, you've started to create your new state of being in that relationship. If someone didn't get that, that's fine. Continue being congruent with yourself. And what'll happen is those opportunities are going to come from surprising places. Like, think about it. Everyone who's watching this live or later, think about the times when it seemed like coincidence happened, when magic happened, when just this like planetary alignment just randomly occurred. Well, it happened because you were taking consistent action in that area, in that context. And it may not just, and that's a surprise because it comes from somewhere else. Like, oh, 1 in a million shot, Doc. That was a little tangent over there.
Yeah. Ooh.
Ooh, squirrel. So that's something to think about. So, the question for you all is, what actions are you taking? Are you willing to get uncomfortable? I think I saw, was it Kat posted before? No, Emily, do 3 things a day that you don't want to do, right? There's such value in that. If you get into that, switch to that mindset, Tony uses the example of, if you can't, then you must. Right. If there's a part of you that's going, ooh, that feels a little bit weird, then the other part of you goes, oh, I got to do this. I must do this, because that's going to expand who I am. That's going to expand how I've been showing up. That's going to then sharpen your axe and expand your ability to take new actions. That's the other thing what Heidi was talking about, taking the same actions over and over. If you're not measuring and you're not looking to see what kind of results you're getting, is also a challenge that some of us have.
I think that getting outside of your comfort zone is really hard for some people. Some people like to try new things.
Mm-hmm.
They like to challenge themselves. They like to get outside of their comfort zone. They're always like thrill seekers. They're seeking. But the type of people that I work with are like me. They're like, no, it's better in the comfort zone. It's like safe. It's secure. I can kind of be in control of things. I can
Mm-hmm.
kind of predict it, because there's a vulnerability piece here, where if you're outside of your comfort zone, then you're not protected. You're vulnerable. You're like open for rejection. You're open for looking like an idiot. You're open for people misunderstanding you, or misreading you, or
Mm-hmm.
judging you, or whatever it is. And that's where all the beauty is, though, is in the vulnerability. It's not necessarily the comfort zone. It's the vulnerability that's required to get outside of your comfort zone that will really change you as a human being.
Right.
When you can kind of like tame your ego a little bit, right? And I know for me, that's the challenge, is like, how can I be more vulnerable? How can I be more vulnerable? How can I open up a little bit more and really push the limits of sharing more of who I am, and get over that fear of being rejected or abandoned or looking like a fool or whatever it is, because that's what prevents us from really taking action at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Is like, we think it's our laziness or complacency. We'll say, oh, I'm just lazy. Well, honey, that's a cute story, bro. I mean, that's really not what it's about. It's
You're
just
really
like
scared
more
shitless.
risk than reward. You've associated more risk than with the reward of taking the action, getting outside your comfort zone. Or you tried for a little bit and you're like, this shit doesn't work, instead of just like hammering down on that one tree. And so, people only really take action for 1 or 2 reasons, like we know, to avoid pain or gain pleasure. So most
people just do it to avoid the pain, though.
Yeah, like if I want to earn a certain amount of money, right? So I'm like, oh yeah, I will not work as hard for just the vision, right? If you're most people, like, oh, I want to get a better this or that, or travel more. People, doesn't motivate them. What motivates them is, oh shit, my electric's about to get shut off. I better hustle, better pick up the phone, call a few more clients. And so we always are like that,
How many of you experienced that, where like it came to the end of the month, and you're like, oh crap,
shit,
right? And then all of a sudden
you
start kicking it up, and the next thing you know, you figure out.
Yeah, then that sucks, So because that's the push of pain. The push of pain will push you into action, but it'll only get you so far, because pain is meant to do what all pain does, which is wear off.
Yeah.
Pain is meant to wear off, and it does. So if you don't have the pull of purpose to go the rest of the way, you go the push of pain will get you halfway, but the pull of purpose will get you the rest of the way. So it's really about figuring out what action, not just what actions you want to take, but why do you want to take the action? What's on the other side? Look, I don't like to work out every day, okay? I don't like to get up and go to the gym, but I know on the other side, I'm a better mother, I'm a better wife, I'm a better coach. I have all these benefits lined up when the alarm goes off at 5:30 and I'm like, crap, and I don't want to get out of bed. I don't work out because my body. That's the least of my worries, right, when it comes to that.
Well, so
your why has to be really compelling.
And yoga, or the original ancient yoga, had nothing to do with the body. It was all about the mind. It was all about connecting to that internal power, that internal connection to that bigger purpose. And back when we didn't have bills, we didn't have stuff like that, you know, while it was somewhat simple in some sense, it was actually more complex because you only had yourself and like your relationships to deal with. And we had to be focused more on our purpose, more on something deeper than the next flashy item.
I mean, let's look at the forest of your own life, right? And say, what trees have I been dabbling in? You know, just cutting a little bit down here, a little down there. And then if you know that's you, because you lead a life that's just kind of meh. It's not juicy. It's not exciting. Maybe it's boring. Maybe it's not as like you wake up and you go, what's the point? If you're feeling that, it's because you don't have enough leverage on yourself to understand what tree you need to focus on. What tree in your forest needs your most attention, and why would that be so important for you to pay attention to it, right? You can start there, but once you start with the one tree and you learn how to master whatever it is within you that you need to master, we call that the force, right? You learn how to awaken the force within you and really take some massive action towards that goal. Like when I work with clients all the time, they'll do the one thing, right? They'll start with the one thing, if it's relationship or binging or whatever it is they want to work on. Then they do that. Then they look around and they go, next, right? They get really excited because they see progress in one area. And that's why people don't take action, because they don't see any progress.
There's also
they're spread too thin.
There's also a great book that talks about, I forget the name of it, but it talks about a rosebush and how how important it is to also trim the roses, right? Because if you don't trim the roses, then the energy gets scattered, goes all over the place. So it's also sometimes choosing what stuff you're going to cut out.
It's like trying to do this plant. You know, we have this spider plant that I'm trying to do, and
Do you know how old this is?
100 years old.
It is.
I wanted to put this in a big pot, and my husband's like, no, honey, you need to contain it. It needs to go into one small so it can outgrow the space, and then it can,
and then a
small pot again. So I think a lot of us are spread too thin. We're trying to put our hands over here and our hands over there and try to, just not seeing the progress that we want to in our lives.
And that's because,
and then that paralyzes us.
Yeah, well,
we just don't do anything.
Part of being human, because look what's happening right now. Look how many different things, like without even all the other distractions that we have, right? We have the computer. Like right now, some of you might be checking your email. You might, if you're on your computer, you could have this up in the corner and you're still scrolling your news feed. Then you're on your other phone, like, and looking at an email while you're, watching TV, playing with your cat and eating, right? And then, but check this out. We have this going on in our brains all the time. We have all these thoughts going on in our head that are like kind of off in little tangents, getting distracted by stuff. And it's really that level of consciousness is similar to how he's talking about with all the different trees going on. We even have those in our thoughts. So the work here is really about getting present, getting kind of to quiet the mind. So like to harken back to a little bit to also share with some of the work that we do, like what Heidi talked about is about the being uncomfortable and the vulnerable. That's why we do breakthrough experiences at our events. That's why we do like a glass walk or a fire walk or the fire eating or the board break or the arrow or the trust falls and that kind of thing. Because
vulnerability.
It puts you in a state of like when we do the board with the pin, right?
I was so scared.
It still can freak me out. Walking, and you're because your brain here's what happens. Your brain writes a story, right? And it may or may not be even true with any real references. It just makes them real, like Heidi shared earlier with going into her mind and just, imagining she's in Paris. Your brain doesn't know the difference, right?
It didn't. I had a great morning in Paris this morning.
Yeah. So
little
check this
classical
out.
music.
Why do we watch television? Why do we what happens when we get lost in a movie or in television? Our brain literally doesn't know the difference when everything's humming and working great. When we're watching like a great movie, what happens? Time disappears. When we're having a great time, when we're lost in that environment, time disappears. Our voice and all the voices in our head are all singing the same tune. They're all communicating, right? Yes, Miguel, your mind it's for everybody. This isn't unique for all of us. So the work that we do is designed for you to get represented to who you truly are. Like because actually, if you just sit there, who are you? Right. And then, so what would you say? Who are you?
I don't want to go. I don't know. I don't want to play that game.
No,
today.
but
I don't want to dive into that with me here. But
well, no, but for
else.
anybody, I'm just saying when you ask that question, there's a part of your brain that answers, but that's not even who you are.
No, that's what I'm saying. I would have said I'm going to go. I'm nobody and everybody and everything and nothing, and it wouldn't have made sense.
Right, but that's my point. Is that whatever our thought is just that thought describing on who we are when it's really not even that.
You
it's
really
all
can't answer
made
the
up.
question. It's like when somebody, the Tao, which I subscribe to, and the first verse in this Tao is the Tao that can be told isn't the eternal Tao. And, whatever you subscribe to, Christianity, Taoism, Buddhism, that who are you, that conversation of who are you, it's like boxing the ocean.
Right.
And it's you can't, what we try to do, and that's what labels are. And that's what we talked about last week and talked about in my women's group last week was the labels. Well, I'm a mother. Well, I'm a wife. Well, then I'm a lover. I'm a business owner. and all these boxes. And I think that gets us into trouble.
Right. And that's the power of language. And then the
disempowering
what screws you up
language,
because
right.
there's a challenge. But it's still all the thoughts because the thoughts we have use the language that.
Because if you can label it, it's not really the truth.
Right. And then your
truth
brain
has no label.
So then your brain, though, has to give it one and then
Right.
it experiences it. And that's really what I was getting at is all this stuff is all kind of completely made up.
It's all made up.
So we're making this up
right now. I didn't want to go down the rabbit hole. I'm like, oh, God, no, don't ask me that. No,
What?
good. You know what else I wanted to say too is like I used to be the person that would take try to kick my own ass all the time. Like action, try to take action and go against the grain. I think there's a time for that, but what was missing was a real authentic, what's at the bottom of all that and why am I really doing it? And a meaningful one, not one that's like a surface one that we talked about earlier. But the other thing is inspired action. And I think that's where the real magic is not.
Well, that's the difference between power and force.
Exactly.
Yeah, we call it the force, not force.
Not the force.
Right.
Yeah, you're not forcing things. That's in Taoism. It's called Wuwei, where it's effortless action. And that's where I'm at in my life now. I used to be an action taker that was like, push, but I was always pushing. I was always overcoming. I was always stepping through, busting. And there's nothing wrong with that, but that's a very masculine dominated type of philosophy. And from the feminine perspective and the feminine energy, there's a different kind of action that feels a little better. And it feels like the Wu Wei, like the flow, the effortless action where it's inspired. We honor more of the create and collapse, the ebb and flow. And we don't push past. Like the moon has cycles, so do you. The seasons have seasons, and so do you.
Well,
knowing when to take the inspired action, when to listen to the voice, because we don't listen to the voice.
Right. Well, no, we do. We argue with it.
Yeah, that's true.
And there's the balance, right? Because
it's
like
the
water is, water is extraordinarily powerful. And sometimes it does come like a mad rush and bust through. And other times it's just the consistent going through. And neither one is right or wrong.
Right. No, right? There's not one right or wrong, but you have to know for you when and what. The yin or the yang. The yang is the go, the step up, the yin is more relax into, go with the flow, the water course way that's called, which is just kind of flowing effortlessly and
and if you're using like laws of gravity. You know, if you just effortlessly, like using a golf, if you play golf, this is a great example. Effortlessly, you pull back the club. It has so much velocity when you just let it take its course. When you don't force it, you just allow the weight of the club and you help it along. It has so much energy when it hits the ball, which is interesting if you play golf. Some of you know this 4-letter word, is that if you try too hard, if you try and force it and really whack it, very often you miss, or you top the ball, or you're going to get it past the ladies' tee. Or if you hit it, you do hit it really hard, but you get it like you're way off course. You end up being like not where you need to be. And you go, yeah, I hit it 250 yards. It's just in the wrong fairway.
And that's what you were talking about earlier. So that's why it's so important that we understand the action it's a marrying of the yin and the yang of all that energy, and knowing how to align with the force so that you can take actions. When you're in the zone, some people call that flow, some people call it the zone. Genius state. It's just kind of like effortless action. Everything lines up.
But it still has massive velocity.
It does, but you have to know how to put yourself in that state.
Right.
And that's what we're teaching. And that's the whole point of the event is
the Success Revolution. The first step is state management.
It's all about that, because the force is there, but if you're not in the right state, your energy doesn't align with the energy of the universe, and you're having a barrier and you don't even realize you're having the barrier. And the barrier is your ego, our egos. The barrier is the resistance. The barrier is
the judgment.
The barrier is the not wanting to get vulnerable. So when you're in this kind of effortless action, I guarantee you, going to Paris in my mind this morning, just finding a way to do that, I am conspiring with the universe, because I'm already there in my mind to open up all of the channels for it to be so. So that's really what we want to share with you and help you learn how to do. It's not change your state so you can like hustle. Hustle sucks. Struggle sucks. Well, unless you like to hustle. Yeah. I don't like to hustle. I want to just be easy in my life, and I want to have things flow. Some people love the hustle.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
And it's knowing it. Like, that's the difference.
It's knowing.
Some people, and that was a little bit as to also who are you, and you can change your state of being and all of that. But there are some people who just love to get out there and hustle and you know, close deals, make all this stuff, and that's awesome.
That's their state.
Yeah. There are other people who, you know, and as the example, like we, you know, mostly work with entrepreneurs. Like our sort of expertise is in self-starting people who are, you know, looking to really align their work to their spiritual highest calling, to really be mission driven, purpose driven in their everyday experience. They align and integrate all of their parts and really connect it to the mind, body, spirit. And that is true for everybody. Some people are just okay, and there's nothing wrong with it, going, I go to a job and that's what I do, and you know, like, I don't want to hustle at all, meaning not even at my job. I just want to sit and go, okay, here's what I come in, here's my tasks. I come in to do my job so that I can leave. Nothing wrong with that.
That's not what non-hustle means.
Right.
Non-hustling means,
well, yes, it does to some.
Yeah, feels good.
Well, I was putting this in a perspective of what most people think hustling is, which is hustling to get $1, hustling as an entrepreneur. So I was using the entrepreneurial hustle mindset so that you can also realize that you can align your hustle if you enjoy hustling, or you can align your get on the wave. And neither way is right or wrong. It's whatever brings you the most joy, because if you love hustling, that's your Wuwei.
That's your Wuwei.
Right. And that's cool. But for someone else, because there's some people who hustle, like, you know, you got to hustle. And other people are like, well, no, I actually like, you know, doing it this way. I like just being in this space and finding my way this way. And it's okay either way. It's when we get into this judgment of you have to do it this way or that way. And how do you balance, though? Because we're always sort of evaluating it. And that's why we do the work that we do, because it's a discipline. It's a dance.
Mm-hmm. So does anybody have any questions for us today? Do the way you live your life have to do with how your state is?
Yes.
It's everything.
The state of your life is the states of your life. So, Miguel.
It's not your life. It's how you feel inside of your life.
Right. Well, I was using the example. Right. but like when I say the state of your life, so wherever you're at in your life, the state, your life conditions, right, where you are financially, physically, emotionally, spiritually, are a result of the states of your life, right? So if you're living in suffering, if you're living in pain and fear and anxiety and depression, your life the state of your life will reflect that. And what's so interesting is that, you know, this is why we do the work that we do. So many people kind of think, well, when this happens, then I can, you know, I'll be happy or whatever. Yeah. And that's the opposite. So that's, you know, we don't want to get too much into another rabbit hole. We just want to then invite you to our event on November 10th. Put it up there. It's up there, revolutionarygrowth.com events. Or if you're also already down here, on October 25th, we have the networking event at Uzo Bay, the Rocktoberfest, because it's in October. It's Rocktoberfest. So Michael Wisniewski and we are putting that together, so that'll be fun. And then if you have any questions, if you'd like to learn more about coaching, just, you know, message us. And if there's something you'd like to discuss, want to dig deeper, please reach out, because we are here to serve. And look, all boats rise and fall with the tide. So really, it's our mission to make sure that you are doing awesome, because when you do awesome, we all do awesome. Does that make sense?
Totally, honey.
So with that being said, we love you for who you are and who you aren't.
Bye-bye.
God bless.